Hey guys! So today I wanted to talk a little bit about some scary experiences that I've had. So they're varying in levels of scary. Nothing is like super scary. So the first one is when I was 16, I had just learned to drive. I was just a new driver. And I think I had all of my siblings in the car with me. It was like a 2-lane highway. And I was going to turn left onto another side highway, and there were cars waiting to turn to go in the direction that I was like pointed in. So I was driving, this way, but I wanted to turn left, and then there were people waiting, and then they were going to turn into my lane and keep going straight. But they obviously have to wait for me because I have the right of way because I'm in the traffic and they're not. So I saw them sitting there and I was like, me being like this super like mostly optimistic person was like, oh, how nice, they're waiting for me, not thinking that of course they're waiting for you. I turned left, made the left turn, and as I was driving about like 10 seconds later, I just realized that I had never looked right at the oncoming traffic. I had never made sure that there was no oncoming traffic. And so for the next, for that whole drive, my stomach just felt, like your stomach drops and you feel sick. That's how I felt like the whole rest of the ride. So I was just thinking I could have seriously just turned into someone coming at me at 45 miles an hour and they could have, T-boned my car, and it would have been completely my fault, and I could have injured one of my siblings, and thank goodness that didn't happen. And in the back of my mind, I think maybe I knew out of my peripheral vision that there was nobody there, but I really just think I didn't look, so every time I think about that, I feel a little bit sick about it, but I'm so thankful nothing happened, and now I always look. So it did make me a better driver, but yeah, that was scary, at least for me, and I'm sure if, when my mom watches this video, she's gonna be like, you're never driving anybody ever again. I think I'm gonna feel a little bit silly telling this one, but when I was living in the apartment after I had gotten married to Eric, he traveled for work for a brief period of time, so this was one of the times when he was traveling for work, so he wasn't home. And I was alone, yeah, obviously, and it was like midnight. It was very early, late, in the morning, and I don't remember what noises I heard, but I thought I heard noises in the apartment, and I don't like being alone, so hearing noises, and I thought that I was hearing footsteps, and it's an apartment, so maybe I was, but it scared me, so I tried to make a phone call, and none of my calls were going through. The phone would literally not call. It just wouldn't make a call. And then the internet wasn't working. I tried going on Facebook, I tried texting, nothing was working. So it really freaked me out, and I was so scared. So I got in my car and I drove to my mom's house, which was 10 minutes away. And I started knocking on her door, and I think I had to knock on her window too because they were all sleeping. So it's a good thing she has a ranch house. Or I guess I could have rang the doorbell, but I didn't want to wake everybody up. But so I knocked on her window, I think, or on the door. And when she opened the door, she was like, "What's wrong?" All worried, because she knew Eric was out of town, so I'm sure she was thinking is something happening with him or what's going on? And I just started crying because I don't know why. I was just scared, and I felt bad about waking her up and things. So that freaked her out even more, but I was like, no, nothing's wrong. I'm just scared. And I explained all this stuff. So she offered to have me stay the night there, but I don't know, I wanted to sleep in my own bed, but I wanted a phone that worked. So she gave me my sister's phone, and I took that with me back to the apartment, and then I felt better, and I fell asleep. But Yeah, so that was more like a traumatic, scary experience for me again. But I don't know, I kind of think it's a funny story. So the next one is when Zach was about a year and a half. And we lived on this like corner lot in a black neighborhood, like all our row housing, like the housing was just in straight lines, basically. Our house was on the corner, and then the park was like just down the road. So it was really close. It was like a 5-minute walk. So we went to the park all the time because it was so close. And Zach knew the way because obviously that's the way we always took. One day, it was summertime and Eric was working in the basement. He was finishing the basement at our last house. So he was in and out of the garage in the basement. So he was going back and forth, going out the door. So we just had the door open, and then there was a screen door, but that you could just push open. I was inside with Zach, and he said that he wanted to go see Daddy. So I was like, okay, I figured that Eric was in the garage outside. So Zach went outside, and I did like one more thing. I don't know what I was doing. And it was like maybe 30 seconds. And then I went to the back door and looked outside and asked Eric, where Zach was. I said, did you see Zach come out here? And Eric was like, no. And so, instantly I was a little bit worried, like, where is he then? So I checked downstairs, Eric checked around the yard, he was not anywhere. So this is like parents' worst nightmare, right? Like, your 1.5-year-old is missing. Where did he go? So, Eric was like, I bet you he went to the park. So he jumped in his car and took off towards the park. I was just sitting there, like, thinking of what the next steps would be. Call the police, call friends and family to come help look for him. I was thinking of all these, like, worst scenario things. And, like, 2 minutes later, Eric comes driving back, and I'm, like, searching the car, like, looking, seeing if I can see Zach, and I see him sitting in the front seat. He like barely reaches the window because he's so tiny. And I mean, you feel such a relief. And Eric was like, he was at the top of the slide at the park. I can't, like, Zachary, like, he ran away to the park at a year and a half. So crazy. Then the next 3 stories are just real short ones. They're all about bugs because I hate bugs, and so things with bugs scare me. The first one that happened was when I was walking downstairs in the morning at like 7 in the morning. I walked downstairs and I went into the kitchen, but there's like a beam above your head that separates the foyer from the kitchen. I mean, it's just the ceiling, but I walked through it and a spider dropped on my head. And I was like, I just brushed it off, I just went like, that, and it fell on the floor, and then I got it with a napkin, but I was like, seriously, it's 7 in the morning? That wasn't that big of a deal, but spiders dropping on your head is something very scary for someone who hates spiders. The next one happened this past summer. We had these huge, ugly, giant spiders in our backyard at the end of the summer this year. They weren't in our backyard the previous summer, the first summer we moved in, but they were this last summer. But so Eric wanted to dig, he was digging something in the backyard. I forget. I think he was moving the rain gutters back further or something. But so he was digging with Zach in the backyard, and I brought them out water. And as I was turning around, after I had given them water, I turned around and started walking back into the house. And one of the big, huge spiders had, like, dropped. It had come down. And it was, like, hanging there right in front of my face. Like, right in front of my face. No. Eric, come and get this. So, yeah. That just, it wasn't scary, but I was like, ew. They were just gross. I hope they don't come back. I've always feared that there would be a bug of some type in the toilet while I'm going to the bathroom, and that when I stand up there would be a bug there. I hate it. I think of it because we sometimes flush spiders down the toilet, you know, and so I'm always worried that they were never dead and and that they're gonna crawl back up the toilet. And so one night I got up at like 2 in the morning to go to the bathroom when I was pregnant with Lily, and I went to the bathroom, and when I stood up to flush the toilet, I saw a giant centipede in the toilet. Now, a spider is one thing. That, I would have been like, oh, ew, okay. A centipede is another, and a big centipede is another. So I was like, so I flushed the toilet, and then I waited for the bowl to fill, and then I flushed it again just to make sure. I can't believe that even happened. So now it took me forever to feel comfortable sitting on the toilet again without like checking, like standing up and checking like 5 times. I hope you enjoyed my scariest moments, and I will see you in the next video. Alright, bye guys.